This video is part 2 of the Starbella ruffled scarf. And here are some of the colors that are available. This one's called Hydrangea, and this one's called Hope, and it's pinks. This one's called Spring Bouquet, and this is the white. And at maggiescrochet.com there are over 20 colors that are available. There's also a link to a video that was produced by Premier Yarns for these scarves, and it has you going back and forth over I don't know how many rows, but the way I do the scarf is just in one row, so that's what I'm going to show you in this video. And then the other scarves, they do come out fuller, but I do like this scarf. Let me set these aside. I like this scarf because it's real loose, and you like I said in the first video, you could just double it to get a fuller look. But I just like the just the real light lacy look, and then the colors, they flow like the yarn was made, and they don't get all jumbled together. And it's a much easier scarf to make. I think you can make this scarf in like 30 minutes. And I think anybody that doesn't even know how to crochet can make one of these scarves the way I'm going to show you how to make it. So let's begin. And I'm going to use the pink. And I'm going to take this off. And I'm going to, instead of pulling from the outside, which takes longer, I'm going to find the inside and pull from the middle, and then that'll be faster. These aren't too bad. I know yarn skeins sometimes are really bad to try to find the middle, but this one pulls out, they pull out pretty good. There it is. Okay, so that's the you definitely want to pull from the middle, because if you pull from the outside, it's going to be a lot more time consuming. And I think the most time consuming part of making this is actually pulling this open while you're crocheting. So when you pull this out, it's like a netting. On one side of the netting is a ribbed edge. It's a thicker edge, and on the other side are real thin loops. See right here? So the part we're going to be crocheting in is right here on these fine loops, and this is the edge that gets left to the outside. And once you pull it apart and crochet with it, it's going to stay, it'll stay spread out. So when you start, you want to take the first 4 loops and fold them over the next 4 loops. So I'm making a fold right there at 4 loops, and I'm going to match them up with the next 4 loops. So I'm going to put my hook in the first loops where the fold is, and I'm going to pick up the next loop, and then I'm going through 2 at the same time. I'm going to go through the next loop and the next loop, and then there's no other loops there because it's just 4. So I've got 4 loops on my hook, and you only do this at the very beginning. You do that fold over. Now I'm going to get started in the way I do the rest of the scarf. I'm going to skip the next loop right here, and I'm going to pick up the next loop, and then I'm going to skip the next one and pick up the next one. I'm going to skip this one, go into this one, and then I'm going to skip this one and go into this one, and then I'm going to skip this one and go into this one. So I've picked up about 8 loops on my hook. I think I have 9 loops on my hook. I'm going to count the double ones as 1, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I'm going to pull the first 8 loops over the last one, the 9th loop. So I'm just going to turn the head of my hook down and pass through all those other loops on my hook like that, and it's just gathering all the rest of it. So I need to unwind my yarn here, spread it out, and then I'm going to skip the next loop and pick up the next one. Skip this one, pick up this one, and I'm going to do this 8 times. So that's 2, skip that one's 3. Skip this one, go into 4. Skip this one, pick up the 5th one. Skip this one, go into the 6th one. Skip this one, go into the 7th. Skip this one and go into the 8th. Okay, and when I do 8, then I just pull that last loop through all the other loops that are on my hook. There, it's starting to ruffle already. Now the other thing is, I could, instead of doing 8 loops, I could do 10 loops, and it might be just a little bit fuller and use up the whole skein of yarn better. So I'm going to skip this one, I'll go into the next one. That's 1, skip, that's 2, and I'm spreading this out as I'm going along. There's 3, skipping, and that's 4, and that's 5, and that's 6, and there's 7, and there's 8, and there's 9, and there's 10. So now instead of 8, I went into every other one 10 times. So I'm going to pull that through these hooks, these loops right here. So there's the 10. Now what's happening with my yarn here is that it's getting twisted, and it's getting harder and harder to open this up. So you just have to like roll this like this, just whatever direction you need to do to make that strand loosen up. And it's loosening up really good by doing this. So you just tumble it so that it becomes straight, because before it was rolling like this. But now that I've done this, it's opening up better for me. So then you just keep going until you get the scarf as long as you want. And I think if you do 10 instead of 8, you'll use up the entire skein and your scarf will be a really good length. So then you need to know how to finish off. So when you get down to the point where you want to finish off, you are going to, like, let's say you have the last loop on your hook right here. You're going to cut about, I would say about 2 inches out. You just hold the whole strand. You don't have it open or anything. You just have the whole strand there. You cut, and then you yarn over the hook with that whole strand, and you just pull it through the last loop on your hook, and that's enough to hold it. And then that end that you have there, that little ragged end, it just gets lost in the ruffle. But I have it a little bit too long here, so I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut it like that, and then that is about 1.5 inches long, and then when the ruffle falls over it, you won't even see that. So that's how I make my scarves. I always try to figure out the quickest way to do things, and I got really frustrated going back and forth in rows. to create a scarf, so I just came up with this way of doing it. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you can make a lot of really beautiful scarves for family and friends. Thank you for watching very much, and all this yarn is available at maggiescrochet.com.